What would you do if you found yourself in the middle of one of these violent mobs outside of a college campus? Well, I just got an email that I want to share with you, and the subject line is, "I was attacked at a protest." Dear Matt, I hope this email finds you well. I've been an avid viewer of your YouTube channel for quite some time now, and I've learned so much from your videos. I'm reaching out to you because I recently found myself in a very scary situation, and I could really use your guidance on how to handle such an event better in the future. Last week, there was a protest on campus regarding one of the ongoing wars overseas. I don't want to share what school I go to because there is currently an investigation happening. I had parked my car on the same street where the protest was taking place, completely unaware of the protest when I parked there earlier in the day. I went in to study and everything was fine. Later on that afternoon, as I approached my car, I found myself in the middle of an angry mob. The situation quickly escalated. The protesters seemed to be looking for someone to vent their anger on, and unfortunately, I became their target. They started yelling at me, accusing me of being against their cause, and before I knew it, they began to surround me. The fear was overwhelming, and I felt completely helpless. Quite frankly, I don't care what they do, but I choose to remain neutral and focus on my studies. They beat me severely, and in the chaos, my car was also trashed. I was left bruised, shaken, and scared for my life. Thankfully, someone eventually called the police, and I managed to get out of there, but the entire experience was very traumatic. I've been replaying the incident in my mind, wondering what I could have done differently to protect myself and avoid becoming a target. I'm not a confrontational person, and I never expected to find myself in such a violent situation. Your videos have always emphasized the importance of being prepared, but I realize now that I need more specific advice on handling aggressive crowds and mobs. Could you please provide some guidance on how to handle such situations? What steps should I have taken to de-escalate the situation, protect myself, and safely exit when faced with an angry mob? Any advice or techniques you can share would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for your time and the invaluable content you provide. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks in advance. You know, protests have been happening for thousands upon thousands of years. I mean, you can go all the way back to the plebeian secession in Rome that happened in 494 BC, all the way up into, let's say, Tiananmen Square. And then obviously we have a bunch of things that have happened in current day as well. Unfortunately, in these days, protests are more about canceling people out, and they've gotten so much more violent. So what can you do to really stay safe in one of these situations if you find yourself in one? Well, this is what I want to do right now. I want to cover a couple quick points that you can use in order to stay safe and also keep those around you safe as well. The first thing that I would advise this viewer, and also you right now viewing, is to go ahead and make sure that you are being aware of your environment, being aware of your situation. You know, many protests that happen today, well, they just don't happen by random. They're advertised that they're going to happen, whether it's a march happening or some kind of get-together is happening. So be in tune with the news, be on social media, realizing what is happening around you. The more educated you are about the environment, the more educated you can be about where not to be. And so by being plugged into whether the news that is happening about certain kinds of outrages in our culture, or if it's just being attuned to, let's say, posters or flyers that are being posted around campuses or on street corners. These kinds of pieces of information can give us information of where to stay away from, and that is the first thing that we should be doing. The second tip that I have for people is that we want to make sure that if we find ourselves in an altercation, in a situation that's going down, in some sort of a protest, we want to get to the outside of that. The most dangerous place to be in is right in the middle. So if you have a clash of two people, let's say, going back and forth on an issue, being right in the middle of that is not the smartest place to be. So we want to make sure that we're outside of that area. Always find where the outside is and get to it as quickly as possible. We want to zone to that area as quickly as possible so we stay out of the things that are being thrown and even people that are in there that are throwing punches. The third tip that I would say is to grab some sort of an improvised weapon. Now, you might have a weapon on you, but if you don't, you need to find a weapon. And it can be anything that we can pick up and even throw at someone, or let's say a scrap piece of wood or a pipe or something like that. Now, I'm saying that for two main reasons. First of all is the obvious reason. If we have somebody who's attacking us, we have something to defend ourselves. but also if we're holding a weapon, a lot of times that will have other people see us not as a target, but for someone to stay away from as well. So picking up any kind of improvised weapon, even if it's, let's say, an empty garbage can help us in that situation. But once again, let me remind you, the goal is still to get to the outside of whatever protest that is happening. We can just do so maybe a little bit faster if we have something in our hand. Now, let's just say that we cannot find a weapon. I want to really give tip 4 right here. And tip 4 is to make sure that we are moving and punching. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, this is now we are in a situation where we're in the middle of all the chaos. There are punches being thrown, people are pushing people are throwing things, there might be firecrackers or fireworks going off. There's going to be a lot of chaos that is happening. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we can get to the outside, but we might have to do 2 things. Those 2 things is throwing punches and moving. Now, why do I bring this up as a tip? Well, because we might have to defend ourselves physically. And if we defend ourselves physically, it's very, very tempting to get locked onto one person. So if we have somebody who is coming up to us and they're engaging us, we get locked onto that one person, but we stop and we stand and we throw punches. Well, throwing punches is good, but we must keep on moving. So if I'm gonna throw a punch, I'm gonna throw a punch, but also move. Once again, moving to the outside, zoning to the outside of wherever all the chaos is our focus. The 5th tip I want to give is a situation that no one wants to find themselves in. If we're in the middle of a protest, in the middle of a march, and we can't get out of that situation, what do? We need to escape, but we can't for some reason. Maybe we're in a building and there's a protest in a building and the exits that we usually are used to going in and out of, well, guess what? They just aren't available for us to make our exit. So what can we do? Well, the big thing is that we need to find a place to hide. And sometimes hiding is just going up a floor or 2. Maybe it's going down a floor or 2, whatever it is. But it's getting to a different level. The other thing we can do is to hide at that level. Now, it might be under a staircase, or maybe it's in one of those bathrooms that's like a family bathroom where you can kind of barricade yourself into, where a lock is on the other side. Wherever it is, we must hide until the chaos has obviously decreased. So whatever the situation is that if we cannot get out of there, we must stand our ground, but we must stand our ground in a safe place. Go to a different level or find a place to hide. That's the last and 5th tip. Now, I get emails like this on a regular basis, and if you have a situation that you're unsure about, how would you handle? Or maybe you were in a situation that really led to some dire consequences. I want you to contact me. Please comment, please let me know, and I would love to help you. And if you go ahead and you comment, I just might read your story on a video just like this.